Manila, ang iyong himpilan, ang inyong tahanan.
Good evening. Good evening, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. This is koolNews Primetime. My name is Cairo, and we are live on Cool FM and News Radio 93.1, where we share the latest stories that care for you. First, we have some unfortunate news in the Philippine entertainment industry. We begin with an unfortunate news as Gloria Romero, an award-winning actress whose career spanned nearly 8 decades, has died. Her family confirmed on Saturday, January 25. She was 91 years old. Romero's death was first announced by her Nan's Lovely Rivero II on her Facebook page while sharing photos of the late film star. The cause of death has yet to be disclosed as of press time. Rest well, our movie queen, Tita Gloria Romero. Praying for the repose of your soul and for strength for Marites Gutierrez, Chris, and the whole family during this very difficult time. Her post read. The late film star's death was also announced in the report by PTV on the same day. Romero's sole child, Martires Gutierrez, has yet to make a public statement about her mother's death. The veteran actress was survived by her daughter Martires and her grandson Chris Gutierrez. One of her final public appearances was a tribute event dedicated to her life and legacy in celebration of her 90th birthday in February 2024. Born Gloria Anne Borrego Gala, Romero started her acting career in the 1940s before she took on bigger roles in films and TV. One of the films that propelled her into superstardom was the 1952 film Madam X and Dalanggang Ilocana 2 years later, which earned her first FAMAS Award for Best Actress Award. Among her most notable films include Condemned, Nagpapagang Luha, Tangking Yaman, Magnifico, Moments of Love, Beautiful Life, and Rainbow's Sunset, to name just a few. As we now head over to national headlines, the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines on Thursday admitted that a Chinese national previously held a technical executive position in the company, with a lawyer raising concern on its constitutional implications. During the hearing of the Committee on Legislative Franchise of the House of Representatives, Marikina City Executive Representative Stella Quimpo asked NGCP Officer in Charge Chief Technical Officer Rico Vega when he assumed the position and why he could not be designated as the permanent CTO. Vega answered that he held the position after a previous Filipino OIC CTO retired from the post in April 2021. NGCP President and CEO Tony Almeida then said that Vega will have to undergo an HR process. Quimpo then asked Almeida if he could confirm that a certain Wembo, a Chinese national, previously held the CTO rule based on the findings of previous hearings. Yes, he was our technical. Yes, he was our chief technical before Almeida answered. Quimpo raised a concern, saying that the 1987 Constitution mandates that executive roles in the public utility should be 100% held by Filipinos, in accordance with the Section 11, Article 12 of the Constitution. NGCP, the country's lone state-owned power grid, is 40% owned by the State Grid Corp of China, a government-owned enterprise of the Chinese Communist Party, while its 60% is owned by Filipino investors, including Henry Say Jr. and Robert Guaido Jr. NGCP Assistant Corporate Secretary Ronald Dillon Concepcion then said that Bo was given necessary permits by different agencies such as the Department of Justice and Department of Energy. When Bo is no longer with NGCP, it's true that for a period of time he was the chief technical officer, but he was allowed and given the proper permits by the DOJ. We even go through the DOE to ask endorsement for his visa and permit, Consumption said. When asked about when Bo stopped assuming office, Consumption said that he thinks that it was around 2017. In the same hearing, Cagayan de Oro 2nd District Representative Rufus Rodriguez said that the corporation said that a hearing was not necessary as the corporation was compliant with its tax responsibilities. However, Surigao del Norte 2nd District Representative Robert A. Sparper said that there was a need to do so, raising concerns on who controls the organization. Henry S. Jr., Vice Chairperson of the NGCP through Almenda, said that the NGCP is a Filipino corporation and we run the company as Filipinos. CY or SY through Almenda added that the SGCC does not control over the power grid nor NGCP. Meanwhile, enhanced defense cooperation agreement or ECA sites in the Philippines are unlikely to be affected by the United States freeze on its international aid programs, according to the Department of Foreign Affairs. The U.S. State Department froze funding for nearly all of its foreign aid on Friday, Saturday Manila time, exempting only emergency food programs and military aid to Israel and Egypt. When asked about the effects of the freeze on the Philippines at the Saturday newsroom in Quezon City, DFA Undersecretary Eduardo de Vega said the country was still in talks with American counterparts but clarified that ECA would not be affected. De Vega stressed at the forum, ECA won't be removed. It will continue. It's unlikely. They will not suddenly abandon the ECA sites. They know the importance of ECA for the interests of both the US and the Philippines. The DFA Undersecretary added, we're still talking to the Americans about that. I can't give the exact data, but freezing is not a permanent cease. Meanwhile, 3 ash emissions were observed from the crater of Canlon volcano on Saturday morning, generating plumes that drifted to the west and southwest, according to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology. The ash events occurred at the following times, which is 7:20 a.m. to 7:45 a.m., 8:05 a.m. to 8:14 a.m., and 10:48 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. Phil Fox said in his Facebook advisory, these events generated grayish plumes that rose from 200 to 850 meters above the summit crater before drifting west and southwest. Meanwhile, Phil Fox Saturday Monitor reported 2 ash emissions from the volcano on Friday, one from 7:01 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. and another from 11:28 p.m. to 12:05 a.m. Saturday. The volcano released 3,028 tons of sulfur dioxide on Friday, with plumes reaching 200 meters tall. The volcano, located between Negros Oriental and Negros Occidental, remains under alert level 3, indicating a magmatic unrest. It erupted last December 9, producing a voluminous plume that rapidly rose to 3,000 meters above the vent and drifted west-southwest. It prompted the evacuation of thousands of residents from Negros Oriental and Negros Occidental. Phil Fox reiterated that flying aircrafts close to the volcano is still prohibited and warned of possible hazards such as sudden explosive eruption, lava flow, ashfall, rockfall, lahar during heavy rains, and plastic flow. Meanwhile, in the COMELEC site, the Commission on Elections will not add more voters in each polling precinct despite faster turnaround of automated counting machines, COMELEC Chairman George Erwin Garcia said on Saturday. During the sidelines of the mock elections in Sulu, Garcia said that the poll body has already finished designating a project of precincts. On election day, Garcia said that 10 voters must be allowed inside a polling precinct to cast their votes. The number of voters per precinct are already fixed because we finished the project of precincts. We finished assigning locations of precincts and schools. Garcia answered a Filipino when asked if the poll body would increase the number of voters in the polling precinct due to the time and motion of the voting process. Garcia said that it will only take less than 2 minutes for an ACM to finish doing its job. He noted that the machine will accept a ballot 2 to 3 seconds after the feeding of bullets. It will then take the machine for 40 seconds to verify the ballot to identify its secret markings and if it is perfectly precinct designated. He added that the machine will then print the receipts for 2 seconds while the process of showing the image of votes from the 14-inch touchscreen to check if it matches with the receipts will take for 20 seconds. The poll party chief noted that what slows down the whole voting process is the voting itself. He then advised voters to have their Código list of candidates to vote ready before they enter the poll precincts to save time. Meanwhile, Garcia said that the mock polls conducted across 15 areas in the country, as well as the tests of online voting in Singapore, were successful. The mock elections are done to determine if the automated counting machines, batteries, and other election paraphernalias are working properly. It was rescheduled from its original schedule of January 18, 2025 after COMELEC had to halt the printing of bullets after receiving the temporary restraining orders from the Supreme Court that acted on the cases filed by 5 disqualified poll aspirants. The reprinting of bullets will commence on Monday, January 27, shortly after Norman Mancusin or Francis Leo Marcos withdrew from the Senate race. Mancusin was earlier declared by the COMELEC as a nuisance candidate. However, a temporary restraining order issued by the Supreme Court reversed COMELEC's decision, letting him run in the May polls. This led to his inclusion in the list of the bullets, which halted the supposed reprinting of bullets on Wednesday, January 22. Also, in the news, election officer Munira Arasid was assisting in feeding the ballot of voters in the automated counting machines during the mock elections held here Saturday for the upcoming midterm polls. Asarit, whose precinct belongs to one of the 15 participating areas designated by the Commission on Elections COMELEC nationwide, said it is necessary to do so since some had a hard time feeding their ballots due to issues in alignment, minor faults, among other things. Voters usually feed their ballots themselves, but instances like this compel election officers to do it for them. She said during the sidelines of the mock elections held at the precinct in Sulu State College, where 100 voters are expected to vote throughout the day. Some of the voters are even illiterate, so we assist them. Nevertheless, Arison was pleased with the new automated counting machines, which she said is more effortless to operate than the all-precinct count optical scanner or PCOS machines. It is effortless as compared to the previous machine. We want this one more, she said. As we have 3 minutes before midnight, we will head over now to international headlines. A U.S. man who allegedly said President Donald Trump needs to be assassinated and posted on TikTok holding a rifle has been arrested, authorities said. Douglas Rams, who is the age of 23, posted multiple videos on TikTok between Monday, when Trump was integrated, and Wednesday, trending anti-government violence, according to a criminal complaint Thursday. Trump was quoted as saying in one of the videos, "Every U.S. government building needs to be bombed immediately." Referring to Trump, Trump went on to say, using an expletive, "He needs to be assassinated, and this time, don't miss." Trump was the target of 2 assassination attempts last year, including one at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where he was wounded in the ear. In another video, Rams held a rifle and tapped it, and an FBI agent said in an affidavit. Rams, from the Midwestern state of Indiana, was arrested on Thursday and charged with making interstate communications with a threat to injure. And finally, European leader Volodymyr Zelensky on Friday warned that his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin wanted to manipulate Donald Trump after the company chief praised the U.S. leader and said he was ready for talks with him. Kiev earlier warned against any Putin-Trump peace talks on the near 3-year war without its and European participation. Zelensky said during a daily evening address on social media, he wants to manipulate the desire of the President of the United States of America to achieve peace. "I am so confident that no Russian manipulations will succeed anymore." He said Putin, who launched the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, was ready to continue the war and manipulate the leaders of the world. Putin had earlier praised Trump as a quote-unquote smart leader who might have prevented the conflict from starting. The Russian leader did not say when talks would take place, and the Kremlin said Friday it was still waiting for signals from Washington, despite Trump announcing Thursday he was willing to meet Putin immediately. Putin told a reporter from Russian state TV, "We have always said, and I want to emphasize this once again, that we are ready for these negotiations on Ukraine issues." Ladies and gentlemen, as we have 1 minute before we wrap up koolNews Primetime, we will have a quote of the day from Rainy Quotes. Alright, so today's quote of the day: "Happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected." That is coming from George Washington. And that brings us to the end of koolNews Primetime. But before we wrap it up, there will be a new episode of there will be a deep dive episode that will be aired after DWPM radio simulcast, which talks about the Johor Singapore Special Economic Zone, whether it will be a success or not. So stay tuned to CNA's deep dive tomorrow at 9 a.m. after DWPM radio is Eastern Time. And that brings us to the end of koolNews. Yeah. There we go. And that brings us to the end of koolNews Primetime for tonight. As always, we will return with more news headlines later on koolNews at 6 or koolNews Primetime. Until then, this has been koolNews Primetime. I am Carlo. Stay safe, everyone, and we will see you later. Good night.